faking out the parents is the clammy hands. It's a good non-specific symptom. I'm a big believer in it. A lot of people will tell you that a good phony fever is a deadlock. But you got a nervous mother, you could wind up in the doctor's office. That's worse than school. You fake a stomach cramp, and then when you're bent over moaning and wailing, you lick your palms. It's a little childish and stupid, but then so is cheat codes. It's March 17th, everybody, 2016. Welcome to episode 89 of the Cheat Codes Podcast. My heart goes out to all of you bartenders today. Hopefully you made it through St. Patty's and your pockets are stuffed with cash. That being said, thank you for tuning in. We like hanging out with you too. The next hour is us drinking a few beers and going over our favorite bits from the past week in video game, tech, and pop culture news. My name is Joe Erskine. I am your host. We're coming to you from a fancy New York restaurant where we're moonlighting as Abe Froman, Sausage King of New York. Today I'm here with Cheat Codes producer and editor, Mr. Joe Sloan Arroyo.
I got Sloan. Hi.
Cheat Codes contributor, Mr. Nikk Golesh.
Hey, how's it going?
And we're excited to welcome Microsoft software development engineer, Mr. James Farris.
Ooh, what it is. That's me, Farris.
Thanks for being here, man.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Today on the show, we'll pretend to drown in the pool to get to the main topics. There's some hubbub around cross-console play coming out of GDC. Lindsay Lohan's case against GTA 5 is still a thing for some god-awful reason.
God.
And a new game addiction rehab center has opened right here in Seattle. For today's lightning round, we'll put a car in reverse to roll back the miles that are the following bits. The real-life Hitman experience was pretty rad to watch. People need to keep making these in general. Crytek is now free if you want it. Add it to your free engine collection. All right? Mr. Farris, welcome, sir. Thanks for being here. Give us a little rundown on what you're doing now at Microsoft and maybe what we can expect.
Sure.
Just you know what your favorite color is, whatever you want.
Favorite color, let's go with blue.
Okay.
Or let's go
today.
with I'm not a child and I don't have a favorite color.
That's an appropriate answer.
Wow.
Brass fucking tacks. All right? Yeah.
All right, so I'm working on some enterprise-level software over on the Dynamics team at Microsoft.
All right.
Okay.
That's so fucked up. It's so fucked up.
It's fair.
Fucked up.
It's fair. Man,
But. There's a but.
Yeah, you know. Okay, so
Very large
since
but
I've
here.
joined, man, I've been working as hard as I can. I want to get over one of those game teams. So
Okay.
I've been applying and whatnot, man, internally, and I got myself an offer over at Turn 10. I'll be working on Forza.
Awesome.
Sweet. Content
Fucking
editors, tools, automation. That shit's gonna be sweet, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That sounds awesome. That sounds
Where's
awesome.
this legit?
Yeah.
Full disclosure, we went to school with James.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Back
We
in
went
the
to
day.
school together.
And,
I wouldn't
and
snore at a random guest.
I appreciate the snore, man. It's all good. It's honest. It's honest.
It's a good discllaimer. But I mean,
important,
content.
I feel
You are the king of content,
That's
man.
kind of
That's kind of your thing.
King of content. Oh man, I don't know about that, but I do love it, man. That's my passion. So I'm very excited to start over there. It's gonna be great.
That's pretty rad. Congratulations on
Thanks,
the offer,
man.
man.
Yeah,
That's rad.
Yeah, I appreciate
All
that.
Oh wait,
Thank you.
there should be a clinky sound.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great. Hey, cheers! Happy St. Patty's. Happy Turn 10 jobs, guys.
Turn 10. Woo! All right, another
Just
one.
keep
Another
going.
one. Just
Yeah.
keep going. And remember,
Forza fans, don't drink and drive, okay? Very quickly, let's talk about what we're washing the episode down with. If there was ever a day to drink beer and do stuff, it's today. So in honor of our guest and the holiday, we're tipping a few Irish Death Dark Ales from the folks at Iron Horse Brewing. We keep it holiday appropriate around here, fellas. So let's face it, with all the craft beer around these parts, the widely distributed stuff just starts to taste underwhelming. It is.
Oh yes.
Heart.
Smithix. Anyway,
We've had a few already. It's St. Patrick's Day.
hey,
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna. I have nothing to add to that. We're just gonna move on. All right, so we do have a lot to talk about today. Let's get started. Next week we will do a more comprehensive recap of all the big bits coming out of GDC, which is happening literally right now. But one thing we couldn't wait to talk about was the potential cross-platform partnership between PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
I read that X-Bone just in my head.
X-Bone.
Yep.
It's Xbox. It's fun. Microsoft has invited Sony to enter into a partnership that will allow gamers on both platforms to play games together, which is pretty fucking
It's
great
about time.
idea.
It's
It's
great.
about time.
Yeah.
Sony is playing coy, but the implications here are pretty far-reaching for the future of gaming as we know it. But perhaps a better question to ask, and feels like what you guys are alluding to is what the fuck took so long, right?
No kidding.
Ultimately, and we're going to get into that because despite the press releases saying that Microsoft is this great, pioneering company that's opening this up, that's not necessarily the actual case. But we're going to get to it here, and hash it out appropriately as we do.
So why did it take so long?
Oh, Microsoft.
Don't ask me, man.
Well,
Come on.
Scroll down. We'll find out.
let's scroll down. After the initial invitation, Sony responded by saying that they have supported a cross-platform initiative since as far back as 2002 with Final Fantasy XI between PC and PlayStation 2. So it was basically they're like, yeah, welcome to the fucking party, Microsoft. Sure. But yeah, sure, we're willing to talk about it. I don't think they've committed to anything, and that's kind of them kind of stepping back and being like, let's hedge our bets, review where we're at. We're still dominating the fucking console market right now, and at least based on console sales. And I think they're kind of like, I think they're also aware of the much larger 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is Sony's been on board with this for a long fucking time, and Microsoft has kind of been like, yeah, no.
Well, yeah, it's very much...
Like Microsoft shut the door on this on multiple platforms, on multiple games across the way.
Sony kind of like, their reactions were like aghast. Like they looked at it like, oh, you guys are kind of coming to us with this now, like when it most benefits you to try to like open up this open platform thing. And Sony took the best like option they could by answering them like as vaguely as possible. Like, I was like, we're on board with this too. Why weren't you before I get
Yeah, 10 fucking years ago. Yeah.
I mean... Oh, no, please, go ahead, sir.
I was just saying, like, Sony's been open...
Please, I was leaning into the mic. It was my turn.
Sony's been on board with this, and they've already had cross-platform play in different games, including Eve and Eve... Two different games, like, cross-platform...
Oh, Dust, you mean, like 514?
Dust and Eve Online have played together, and one was on the PlayStation 3, and one was on the PC, and they've already had a way to do this, and so has Microsoft. They've just kind of been like... now's not the time for us right now, I guess.
Sure. I think they had their own reasons for protecting it, but yeah. James, what were you going to say?
Well, if I can chime in for a second,
please.
That's all right, please.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
I have to imagine there's a reason that you brought me in here when we're talking about Microsoft products here. Yeah, probably. Well, anyway, what I can say for the company probably is in this case, they just came out with Windows 10. Obviously, they're really trying to push Windows as a very kind of a unified system, across all platforms, right? So that. If for games, what does that mean? Well, obviously it means, cross-platform play. So
at least between Xbox and PC.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of what I'm seeing the most is, hey, Xbox One players going to be able to play with PC players, right? But, getting Sony on board is more of a big step, I think, for them. Obviously internally they can just, link it up to a PC. But for them trying to bring Sony in is kind of, I think it's a good step for Microsoft, try to connect these products together.
It's a good step in the circumstance of the time in which it benefits
the timing
Microsoft.
That benefits Microsoft
the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so there's that.
It does benefit them most, but at the end of the day, Microsoft is a company that's making money, right? So for them, this is the opportune moment for them to jump into this.
Solid bills.
Well, especially the way Phil Spencer's been talking about it, as far as Windows 10 being an OS that is very directed towards PC gamers, at least, and trying to like whether or not they're trying to unify a console platform and a PC platform, like they want as much fodder as possible to kind of like pimp this process of being like Windows 10 guys, relevant, necessary. Let's make this fucking shit happen.
They want Windows 10 to run on everything.
They really do.
They want Windows 10 to run on your phone. They want it to run on the Xbox. They want it to run on the PS4.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like,
and for games specifically, they have that, you open up one of the games in Windows 10, you'll see that little thing pop up and says, hey, do you want to record this? Do you want to, snapshots or whatever?
I really missed the paperclip. When you said that thing that pops up, I was going to do the paperclip. I was like, do you need help with Microsoft Word?
Hey, Phil, let's get the paperclip.
I have nothing personal against your employers, but fuck that paperclip. I'm just saying.
I'm mostly concerned about the outcome in which I now am pressured into playing games with Nick because we've always had this agreement being roommates.
Well, first of all, Nick doesn't like games and you don't play games, so how is this a problem?
Yeah, video games
whatever. Let's just say every game
totally
like console. I'm a console guy because it's just easier, and then PC guy because it's just harder, and he likes that because he doesn't like games. He likes work.
PC Master Race.
Well, I
measure dicks based on our graphics cards, effectively. Yeah. Okay.
I got two graphics cards.
Now
I have
he's gonna be like
Titans. Or ball form.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead. I know it's hard.
But now I'm gonna be pressured to play with this dude. Like, and now and I have a problem.
And he's
with
just
this.
what is he so much better than you?
No, I'm just saying, like, I've always had an out.
and now Microsoft is literally trying to take that away from you.
Yeah, so this is a personal thing.
Okay.
But let's face it. Maybe there are other people like me who have PC gamer friends who are too hardcore for them, and they're like, no, I can't play with you because I have an Xbox.
I think it's funny. One of the arguments that came before this entire issue was, it would be unfair for PC and console players to play together because PCs would have an advantage, not just necessarily like maybe with like mouse responsibility. I think that's the right word, as opposed to using a controller, but also like I have access to third-party apps that could give me an advantage over a player. Like I can alt tab and check
even if
the
you don't
mission
go
map
that
or something.
So here's
like.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
Well, I kind of did, but I don't know.
Well, I guess part of my concern is this. Like, you could argue that if we're talking console only right now between PS4 and Xbox One, there is probably a controller that is probably, if you track all the analytics, that is probably more responsive and possibly, arguably better.
You're telling me when someone plays a first-person shooter.
Relax.
You're saying you're better at a first-person shooter because you have a controller?
All right, let's hear me out. Let's hear him out.
I'm just saying that from a console level, that there might be one, like the Xbox One controller is arguably better or worse than the PS4 controller, right? So that if they're going to go cross-platform, there has to be some sort of balancing piece of software or hardware, for that matter, that keeps it fucking even.
No. What I'm saying is the excuse they gave before is bullshit because now they're coming to this like, oh, let's unify all the systems so they can all play together. Like the excuse they gave before was like, oh, PC would have an advantage, or like it wouldn't be fair for two consoles to play together because they don't have the same hardware. And I'm just saying that was dumb of them to say before, and now they're coming back and saying this.
So you're saying it's dumb that I said it?
No, I'm saying you missed my point.
Okay, you're probably right.
Well, so the way I look at it is, there's the mouse and keyboard, in my opinion, is just far superior to the controller.
It is.
It's just it's a non-issue. There's no way that it could be better than a controller or
Worse.
Worse than a controller. Yeah. Worse than a controller. So the way I look at it is like if you have a PC player and an Xbox One player, there's just a disconnect of easeability of control for the character, right? Obviously, the mouse is just very intuitive, and for a lot of people can sit down on an Xbox One and they have to kind of learn how to use a controller, right? So when it comes to comparing a player who's on Xbox One versus a player on his computer, the responsiveness of a PC varies a lot, right? Based on the hardware of a computer and whatnot. There's a lot of different varying things when it comes to the hardware, and so that could kind of play into it, really. Competitive wise, it really depends on what game you're playing, but competitive wise,
like first person shooters, that's going to be the biggest break.
Exactly,
right,
exactly.
Play.
The first person shooters.
I mean, I hate to go there immediately, but I mean, you have to admit, despite the argument of it being stupid, it's not a stupid argument. Like if I was playing on my Xbox One and I got the game because I wanted to be comfortable in my living room, and I'm playing a first person shooter online, and I'm playing against a bunch of PC guys who can be twitchy as fuck and just like ruin me,
super twitchy.
Like I would. And what happens to the whiny ass guy in your friend group who's always just like, I just died because I was a PC player. Like that guy's a PC player. He's a PC. Don't let him play with me anymore.
PC master.
PC principal.
Well, okay,
PC
but let's make sure that we understand. Like what we're talking about here is strictly between Xbox and PlayStation, not necessarily PC.
But we know that's the next logical step. Right?
That's where Microsoft is going. Microsoft wants you to be using their operating system,
of course,
so that
100%.
So it's a fair conversation.
If you can choose,
it is fair. But I think like based on the article that we're talking about, is very much talking about finally unifying the fact that if you have a PlayStation, you don't have to buy an Xbox One to play with your friends who play an Xbox One and vice versa.
Okay, so to be fair, the argument specifically between Sony and Microsoft,
console-based cross-platform play
definitely is why did this not happen sooner? Yes, I will agree with you 100% on that. Both of them,
and I agree with everything you said about the PC play. Like mouse keyboard makes more sense.
Yeah.
However, if I'm sitting on my couch I still
sure
like,
there's some
I still like a
people-
fucking controller. That's all I'm saying.
I'm
But-
sure there's some people who will disagree with that, who will say controller's better than mouse and keyboard.
Sure, and then when they start getting raped by PC players,
We'll find out soon
they'll
enough.
be like,
we'll find out soon enough.
There are certain games I would rather play a platformer with a controller than.
no, I was talking about
Oh,
shooters.
sure.
I don't understand.
FPS,
I'm
but
just
you're
trying to
right.
say-
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Joe made the distinction appropriately. But what I'm talking about specifically is this idea that Sony and Xbox, or Microsoft and Sony would come together in a way that, yes, there are cross-platform titles, no longer exclusives when it comes to this. Like, so
Right.
imagine, like, Tomb Raider is not exclusive to Xbox anymore. It's now a cross-platform title like it used to be, and we can all sit there and play together during its, the new Tomb Raider multiplayer, which you can control on Twitch and blah, blah,
Right,
blah,
right.
blah, blah,
I don't really feel that like falls in line with their like trying to get exclusive early access to games on one console to the other one.
What I'm
Like,
saying
Micro-
is exclusivity is out the fucking window.
No, I'm saying like that does like this cross-platform play. Microsoft's saying like, hey, we want everybody to be able to play all the games on any platform they want and play together. And they say, oh, Tomb Raider is available a month earlier on the Xbox than it is on the PlayStation. Oh, all these players have had a month earlier to unlock better weapons and be able to be better than these PlayStation.
Yeah, that stuff all
players.
goes, but that stuff all goes away then.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Exclusivity's
It's not
still
gonna
there.
go
Like,
away.
You don't
Like,
think so?
no.
It has
No,
to.
it-
If they
it
open up this
depends on the
cross-platform
studio.
thing, then they have to.
It
It's not
depends
how
on the studio.
licensing works.
Yeah, it depends on how they approach the thing. I mean,
There might be a difference between like console platform and PC. Like there might be a difference there. But if you have people playing it on like a cross-platform, like they can't logically do it.
they can if they just say, hey,
no.
don't release it on the PlayStation. They just
No,
don't
they
release
can,
it on
but
the
they'd be
PlayStation.
fucking dumb to do it that
No,
way.
they would not.
Yes,
That
they
be-
would.
well,
No.
if you think about it, right, Microsoft is making money because they can't play it on anything else other than Xbox
Sure,
One.
sure,
right?
sure,
So
sure.
you're bringing all your people to it if it's Xbox exclusive.
I'm being super positive about it, and I
Okay,
get where
all
you guys
right,
are coming
yeah,
from in the
yeah.
sense that like yes, they could, and the
Let me
fact that
give
like
you-
if we lock certain things out. Like that means that like unless you buy an Xbox, you can't get shit early. So make sure you're buying an Xbox
Right.
before, even though you can play it on both consoles. Because who gives a fuck at that point? Well, it depends on where you get certain content earlier,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And I get that what you're saying, but I honestly like if you want to have a faithful and returning community to these titles, like, and if you're going to go cross-platform and open this up to millions of other players across, like people are already playing the games, but all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're creating a community that is almost twice the size, if not bigger, from one side of the spectrum to the other. You have to like limit very, very much how much exclusivity is determining your marketing and your
should,
sales.
but they're not going to, is what I'm saying. I'm saying there's still going to be exclusive titles that come
then
out.
they're fucking idiots.
We
Please, let me put something in perspective for you. Something very, very important.
I
to
feel like I
understand.
have the perfect
No.
perspective about this.
You have the perspective about the situation, but not what the outcome entails. Is you're claiming that when the community grows larger and it involves both Sony players and Microsoft
Yeah.
players, that they can't possibly release one on the other without ruining the whole perspective of the game.
Then why are they fucking doing it?
Hold on. In reality, what is happening is a cash grab. Who loses when it comes out on one system over the other first?
Yep.
The system it didn't come out on. So the only angry players are the people angry at Sony for not releasing the game before Microsoft. They're not mad at the game makers. That's not how the general public works. They're going to be mad.
But that's very much how.
No, they won't. They're going to be mad at Sony because Sony didn't make it. They don't understand the politics behind it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be like, this game is not available on day one on my PlayStation. I'm mad at PlayStation. Like, I want to go get this elsewhere. So in terms of the race of the publishers,
People didn't get
they're
mad
gonna-
at Microsoft for not having Bloodborne available
Yeah,
day
but
one.
This is going to make it more apparent.
this
More
right.
people are going to do this.
This
shit.
whole thing, what I see from Microsoft doing it is like a ploy to say, hey, we understand all your friends have this game on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
If you play on the Xbox, you can play with them too. Like,
and you can do it right away.
And that's what that's what
it's out
I kind
now.
of view it a little bit.
And I think it really depends on the studio and how they're approaching this, because a lot of the times, they'll release it on one before the other. They'll release it on Xbox and then they'll release it on PC, or they'll release it on Xbox and then hey, now it's coming out on PS4, right? So I think there's kind of another point to bring up here, which is this going to kind of force companies to be kind of parallelizing their work, where they have to be generating this content for PS4 and Xbox One at the same time, where usually where they can release it for Xbox One and then release it for PS4, and it makes it budgetarily make sense.
What I heard though is like these companies actually have to put in additional work to make it so that they can't cross-platform play. Like I think the example was The Crew in the episode or something, where like, oh yeah, these guys could play together if they already wanted to, but we had to write in extra code because Microsoft said that they can't play with PlayStation players.
Right.
I mean, imagine though.
There's a few examples in this article along those lines, dating back a few fucking years. You know what I mean? But
you have to look at it from both perspectives. There's the one that James brought up, which makes a lot of sense from a developer perspective, where you want to try and do everything in parallel.
Right.
But what's going to happen is when cross-platform becomes the norm, right? The publishers are going to go even more gung-ho about. Think about the fraction of money compared to how much they can make if they give you millions and millions and millions of dollars to put your game on Xbox 1 month before PlayStation.
Right.
When that happens, you are.
Does that happen though? Does it?
I'm trying to listen to the future. Okay. When cross-platform is
so
the
it
norm,
hasn't happened yet, is what you're saying.
When cross-platform is the norm, it behooves
Talk
a
slower, I
publisher
understand you better. Yeah.
to throw way more money at the developer to put it on one console before the other,
Fair
so
enough.
that people will
Fair
go
enough.
buy their console. There's still a race between the consoles. It's never going to end.
Things used to be simpler, man. When you played Nintendo, you played Mario. You played Sega, you played fucking Sonic, and how that
they
fucking
weren't
worked.
connected
You know what
to
I mean?
each other. There was no internet.
And I'm not expecting them to be. I'm just saying that there were very clear avenues. Like you either went down, the Genesis Avenue, or you went down the Super Nintendo Avenue. Like that's how that worked.
Which console are you voting for in the primaries?
Yeah.
It's gonna be huge.
Trump console.
Trump console. 60,
Drum console.
It
Drum
doesn't,
console.
it doesn't work, but it'll sure tell you it does.
From an outside perspective, and speaking as a gamer and not as a developer, it's more exciting to me to actually play the same games. I think I'm a minority when I say that I own both consoles. You know what I mean? Like most people don't.
Right.
We are going to move on, Joe. Don't worry. You're waving me with your producer hands, and I hear you. But
You know,
however,
when I do that, it's silently so that the listener doesn't have to fucking deal with
that's
it.
how shit works,
Slow down,
guys.
producer. We're having a good time talking about this.
That's right. But at the same time, I understand from a gamer perspective that being able to have a friend that has a PlayStation and I have an Xbox and we can play the same fucking game, that's fucking exciting as hell.
Yeah, but would you want to play with me? Like if we were playing a
You don't play consoles, so the answer is no.
I'm saying if I'm playing PC and you're playing a console and this cross-platform happens because Windows is the unified
So we're
platform.
playing Quantum Break on Windows and Xbox.
We're playing something
Sure.
against each other.
Yeah.
Like, would you be upset that I may have an advantage because I have a mouse and keyboard?
No, because hopefully we're playing on the same team.
Because we're playing.
All right.
Okay, but
Go ahead, James. Finish us off.
Last thing I was going to say is Rocket League is going to turn out to be one of these cross-platform titles.
It is already now, like PC and PlayStation ready,
PC
and now
and
it just
PlayStation.
started coming to Xbox because
It
they
becomes
started to figure
Xbox.
out that was like their
Exactly.
test case to fucking straighten their act out and get it. Sorry, all attitudes and opinions are not reflective of James Farris' employment. And his
Hey,
comments.
I'm one of those gamers. I'm one of the ones that want to play
But it
with
is
my friends
exciting,
who
right?
own
Am
a
I wrong?
PS4,
It's exciting
right?
as fuck to have
it
this
is.
even as a possibility.
It is. It's extremely
The
exciting.
same way that like getting reverse compatibility through Xbox was fucking exciting
and also extremely impressive when it comes to the fact that Sony
from
looked
a
at that and
technological
said,
level, yeah.
we
Also-
aren't going to be able to do this back compatibility, and Microsoft said, well, let's see if we can do it, and they fucking did it.
Yeah. And when
impressive.
Joe keeps referring to it as reverse compatibility, I don't understand what that means. We
You
are
know what's fucked up is that everybody still understands what the fuck I'm talking about. So who's really wrong here? All right. Topic number 2.
All right,
We're gonna calmly and gently move on.
Oh man,
to
we
the next topic.
could have talked about this.
I
for
know,
hours,
forever.
right?
That's what always
forever.
happens.
You'll
It's
feel
what
that
always
about
happens.
all of
Is that right? All right.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So remember when GTA 5 came out and Lindsay Lohan got pissed because they thought they based one of the characters off her. So she tried to take legal action, but apparently it's been in limbo for a while. But a U.S. judge recently gave the go-ahead for litigation to proceed. This opened a floodgate of vitriol from the internet, as you do, and she thinks they owe her, and Rockstar thinks she's just doing it for publicity. I get a really weird impression that maybe they're both right. So let's
Yeah.
take this down to brass tacks a bit.
I'm just curious. Like, anybody here? Do we think that they base this character off Lindsay Lohan?
Did you see the picture that they
no,
referenced
I'm
versus the one of Lindsay Lohan versus the one of the artwork created for the
Yeah,
game?
it looks exactly the same.
And
They're pretty
but she was
fucking
holding
similar.
a water bottle in real life. So
Instead of licking
And the
knife.
phone and the phone was in the other
She
hand, guys.
was holding the phone differently.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know.
It can't be a complete ripoff.
Really? Does she really think she's so fucking great that any any cartoon character taking a selfie looks like her.
Right. Well, so
Blonde
here's the
cartoon
thing, right?
character.
Because like Grand Theft Auto games especially are known for taking the piss about tropes, movie references,
totally.
characters, like everything, all of it, right? So the fact that she found herself swept into one of these fucking dumb tropes or something to be made fun of, like she either had a bone to pick, B just needed some publicity to stay relevant to some degree or whatever, but at the same time, like, does she have, based on a legal system, which is not perfect by any stretch, does she have grounds? Does she have grounds? Probably, right? Like,
I mean,
otherwise,
would we
what the
agree
fuck?
if Paris Hilton was making the exact same lawsuit at the exact same time? Like, we'd probably be like, does she have grounds?
Probably.
Really?
Because that's how, I mean, isn't this how people get ahead in life? They just sue until they get money, and then
No, they should
they're
get
celebrities.
publicity,
Right.
and then they get ahead in life.
Well, it was the same thing with that whole, like, you know, Ellen Page Last of Us thing. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
point.
good
Very
point.
good
Yeah,
You know,
good
and so I mean, it's very much like, you know, I honestly playing Last of Us, I was like, that's straight up Ellen Page.
Well, that's because they tried to get her to do the role first, and when she said no, they did it anyway, but they
Right.
just
Well, she
kind
was
of...
off doing the
different voice,
David
yeah.
Cage game, the other one.
The one with Willem Dafoe.
With Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
But
I,
I
love,
don't-
I love how she complains about, like,
Beyond Two Souls.
Hey,
Thank you.
Beyond, well,
That
that
was
was fine.
the-
Yeah, but that was literally her. So I mean, that's
Right.
fine.
but
like,
she was in the middle of that. That's
Right,
why
right.
she said no to...
right,
Last
right.
of Us,
So
yeah.
so Last of Us happens, and she says, that's me, and they go, no, it's not, and then she goes, it
reskin
is, and they say,
everything.
well,
Yeah.
fuck you, we'll just make the DLC where the main character's a lesbian.
Yeah,
And then
they-
Ellen
they-
Page
Is
turns
that
out to be a
you?
lesbian.
And then she turns out to be a lesbian. Exactly.
Right, they did kind of make that worse.
I feel like if anything, they made it worse for themselves.
Yeah, they made that more obvious. Like, but,
So, but
and
that's,
then
I
if-
guess that's my point. Is that like as fucking annoying as we all probably think Lindsay Lohan is, and
She's not
as
completely
funny
wrong.
as Rockstar
Yeah, I like
can
Parent
be,
Trap
like she
when I was a
has
kid.
grounds, right? Like, and I'm not trying to side with her by any stretch, but like Rockstar is notorious for sitting there and like poking fun at everybody else. But as soon as they get taken to task, especially with like the BBC documentary, remember it was starring Harry Potter. Like they wanted nothing to do with that. They tried to get that shit shut down, but it still showed on the BBC. And
Yeah.
now they have this lawsuit that's actually come to fruition after all these years, and they're trying to still have it blocked. But the judge is like, no, litigation's going to go ahead. This is what's happening. So, is Rockstar are they being hypocrites? Is Lindsay Lohan just being a fucking PR whore? Like, what the fuck?
I feel like after this, you know,
The answer is yes to both, right?
right. I mean, Rockstar has so much money. Why don't they just settle?
You would think,
Why
right?
don't they just settle for this? I mean, just get it.
That's
just
what I
get
think
it
is going to
done,
happen.
Right?
That's what
it's going
to be very
right?
private,
Yeah.
like very closed meeting thing. Like, here's a bunch of money, go the fuck away.
question.
We have a shitload
But then
of
that
money.
sets a precedent
Not as much
because
as Blizzard, but we have a
because
lot.
as soon as Lindsay Lohan gets paid for fucking making a complaint against Rockstar, then all the
Thank you.
characters,
That was my
all
question.
the characters that they parody and fucking make fun of
Are going to have to deal
they're-
with
they're gonna come
have
after
grounds
you,
to come around and be like, well, then you owe me fucking money too.
Can we?
Yeah.
Can you guys think of any other characters in Grand Theft Auto specifically that reference?
look,
There could
Tommy,
be many.
Okay, come on.
Number-
Michael was
well-
Ray Liotta. Michael looks exactly and acts exactly like the actor Ray Liotta.
but only
that's how
as
you
Ray
say his
Liotta
last
from
name.
Goodfellas
Like the-
when he's been
like as a-
relocated
as a-
based on the
No, wait.
witness protection program.
he acts as a character in something else. Like, does he act like? Do any of the characters act like real life representations of celebrities?
Nick
like,
has a good point.
like this is one of those
Like, it's
situations
one thing to
where
make a character that
there's
acts
one-
like Scarface.
Yeah,
Sure,
they
sure.
have those
That's
kind of
fair. That's
characters,
fair.
but this one
Like
is
Vice City was
based
like
on
that, yeah.
an actual person, like not a character of that person.
Was it based on an actual person or was it
I
based
don't-
on a character?
But so
Yeah.
here,
Right?
so I think you're right, and I think there's probably a few correlations that you could make to prove your point correct. But like at some point you have to think about parody, right? Where you are allowed to do this and express yourself, and people are allowed to kind of like take things and turn them on their head. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Epic or all the dumb Wayans brothers movies that have come out over the years to kind of like make money on the fucking, Mel Brooks did the same shit, with
Absolutely.
Spaceballs and everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, if
Okay, so
everyone
that-
was suing everyone over Mel Brooks movies or scary
Or
movie,
Wayans brothers movies.
Right,
yeah.
right. Okay,
we
but
wouldn't
so
have
that's the
such
thing.
gems.
How do you define parody in this case, right? I mean, like for the examples that you gave, all the parodies are comedy, right? They're
There's a humorous value to
fun
it.
of this thing, right? Well, and so Rockstar wasn't making fun of Lindsay Lohan, really. I mean, they were just using her personality
Theoretically.
theoretically,
Allegedly.
allegedly, yes. For the record, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Right.
Still innocent.
I have no ties to
Self-proven
Rockstar.
guilty, yeah. I have no ties to
Wait, so to be
these
clear,
views do not reflect James Harris's employment at Rockstar or potential employment at Rockstar, and therefore
Potential
to be
employment.
clear, James, you're
Yeah.
saying that there's actually a little bit more of a case in this situation because it's not based on a comedical.
Well, so that's what I'm saying is how do you define
That wasn't a
parody?
word, by the way. It's comical.
Comedical.
But don't worry
sure,
about that.
fine, whatever. But how do you define parody?
comedical is maybe we got a title for the episode right there.
Comedical.
Comedical.
Episode
Hey.
99, comedical. There you go.
I feel like this was just Rockstar taking a look at Lindsay Lohan and seeing this caricature of herself and making that in the game. So, like, in a way, it is a parody because she had been acting at that time like a character of herself. Like, not necessarily like.
Saying every time an actor goes on a binge, like if someone shaved their head and like did Britney Spears,
Smashes an umbrella against a car
and
door or something.
And they've done that in movies where actresses have shaved their head.
in a scary movie.
They've done that,
and nobody
Hirschlag.
fucking gets sued,
V
right?
for Vendetta.
Yeah,
Natalie Hirschlag. Am I right?
Natalie Hirschlag.
She shaved her head for that. I was just unrelated, but I thought I'd bring that up.
I think it's Portman, but Hirschlag is close. It's close.
Herschlag is her real last name.
Oh, is it really?
She changed it to Portman. Everyone listening, it's Natalie Hirschlag
and Donald Trump.
and Donald Trump. I have words. I have the best words.
That's the honestly like I
Change the
kinda
title
want
of the episode
I want the
to
title to be
that.
Hirschlag and Trump. It's like a law firm. Hirschlag and Trump.
Have you been injured in an accident?
Yeah.
Are you
Call
Donald
Hirschlag
Trump?
and Trump.
Do you need a neck brace? Because I will follow your ambulance to wherever you need me to be. Fuck this. All right,
Don't
so
worry, we'll call
they're
you.
both right. We can settle on this. They're both right.
Yeah.
It's a PR stunt, but at the same time, Rockstar needs to shut the fuck up and just either settle or honestly admit to the fact that they probably just did use her as a caricature for their games.
These big people just need to throw some money around and then have it not be in the news anymore, so I don't have to talk about it or read about it. Like, it's not.
Okay.
I don't feel like it's a big deal that I need to concern myself with.
But you don't feel like this? It deserves a place in this podcast.
Does it? I feel like we kind of covered it right there. I don't know. Like,
Well, from here on out, we won't talk about Lindsay Lohan anymore. I promise you. How's that? Okay.
I wasn't upset about it. I was just saying.
You seem a little upset. I'm just saying.
No, I don't think like are you asking me like does Lindsay Lohan have a case against Rockstar saying like they used her?
I'm not-
So
I feel like that was the entire topic.
that was the entire So I don't.
I think my
for the
point.
win.
I think my point is they're both right. That's my point that I'm trying.
What
to
if they're both wrong?
They might
What
be.
if they're both wrong?
What if?
You know, this is clearly a
I hope you can sleep tonight.
That's what I'm trying to
thinking about
clearly
that.
a
Don't let it
publicity
keep you
stunt.
up.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, she just saw like, hey, look, there's a blonde in a bikini. It must be me. I mean, come on.
If anybody said it, would anybody made the reference? Like, would anybody have said this is exactly Lindsay Lohan?
We're getting avid
No,
head shaking
right,
from
nobody-
back on the spectator couch back there. So
Thank you, Annabelle. Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks. So it's confirmed.
Confirmed.
Not. Yeah.
Truth. This is not
Lindsay Lohan's
anecdotal.
full of shit.
This is true.
Okay.
Well, it's one of those like the only reason why it got pushed forward into litigation though is enough for you to at least be concerned. The fact that once they dug
I guess
deeper
that's-
into
yeah.
more information, we read this article and we look at one picture and we're like, how could that? Well, if they were willing to push it forward, it's because there were probably many incidences in there that actually do.
But that's
parallel.
that's my point.
Okay,
But that's my
Ray
point.
Liotta has a case then.
Okay,
Ray
but he hasn't
Liotta,
made it.
If you're listening, Ray Liotta, please sue Rockstar. Don't sue Rockstar.
Don't
They're
be
making
a
awesome
fucking
games.
schnook.
Man,
Sue
that engine,
Rockstar.
though,
Yeah.
that engine for GTA 5, though,
Totally.
fucking impressive.
Yeah.
Just
Unbelievable.
extremely impressive.
Oh, hey, you want first
So-
person mode? Give us a year. No problem.
But so for I mean,
You
like
want to make
on a-
movies out of our
DLC.
engine? Sure.
Yeah, sure, why not? Cool. God, it's
But
impressive.
on a final point, because I do agree with everybody in that regard. If she had never brought it, to the surface, nobody would have asked any questions. But the fact that she has,
Yeah.
there are enough similarities that maybe they did. But the point is that it only matters until when the person who's being reflected cares
Is she-
enough to want to capitalize on it.
Is she upset that like it reflected her negatively, or that it brought more light to her person without her profit.
I think the questions you're asking are valid, but are not relevant based on the case she's making. She feels like she's owed money based on the fact that they used, supposedly, allegedly, used her image as a likeness in the game and based the character off of her and her, young 20 shenanigans.
Well,
as a teen.
Did Ellen Page get anything out of The Last of Us then?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. So I don't.
They probably settled. They probably did it right.
Yeah.
It's like
Probably
Ellen
settled.
Page.
Right.
She's a little money. Sorry if we made him fucked up. Yeah. Please be a lesbian with our compliments. You know what I mean?
Oh my
Hey,
God.
we'll make a DLC about you, buddy.
Yeah,
That's what we'll do.
it's fine.
And then the whole thing came out where like the developers actually released this body where she had nipples on or something, where you could hack the game that she was actually
the game.
the game she was actually in that she didn't appear in Last of Us. This is a kind of a tangent, obviously.
Well, I'm going to shut you
talking
down here in a
about-
minute, so you
This
better
is the
make
Willem
this good.
Dafoe
Talking
game
about
that you just
The Willem Dafoe game.
games?
There was the part
Beyond
where
Two Souls, yeah.
where like
Beyond
she
Two
was
Souls,
in
yep.
in the shower and like the scene was actually cut just above her breast. And you could actually hack the game and actually like see the entire scene, and there were
So
nipples.
they actually rendered
nipples. They put stuff on like
to
the point, and she got
So
really upset.
what
about
was
it.
the
You
mod
opened up a
on?
can of worms for a whole different
story, guys.
Was the mod
just-
like? Did they just hide the clothes object? Is that how that worked? I mean,
I love how you're breaking this down from a technical aspect.
I'm going from a technical aspect.
The
here.
point,
You know, I'm a
the
developer.
point is they did it
Okay.
to a point where they could be hacked, and the point like you
No,
could see
wait,
something
I
like
don't-
they didn't have to fucking render that shit. Like they could have stopped from like here up and been done with
But
it.
somebody,
For some reason,
But
somebody did
decided
it.
to
Somebody
do it,
did
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Like it was in there. The mod wasn't that. The mod was not
It's
the
the
nipples.
artist.
The mod was changing the camera,
Oh.
and the
And
nipples
do you have
were
somebody to
released
add?
in the game.
Jump in here. Come on.
If you're an artist, you can't not make nipples.
Artists have to make nipples.
You have
That's
to.
the rule, apparently. If you're an
from the
artist,
horse's mouth.
Anatomically correct.
Artists have to make nipples.
okay, good talk.
It's anatomically.
That's the-
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
the title. Artists have to make nipples.
We have so many titles. You have a plethora.
Erskine, I'm going to make
Plethora.
Erskine, I'm going to make an executive decision, and you need to pull the chair
That's number
hiding
3.
behind that. And
For-
Let's bring Annabelle in.
needs to-
How can we get her in here? We can
needs to
share a
get
mic.
into the
There's
show
another
here.
headset somewhere. Oh, we have another mic. There's another mic. No.
chair.
No, we can't.
All right, you're gonna have to share. You're gonna have to
Share
share
a
your
mic
mic.
with me, baby. Come on over here. Oh,
Do we have another headset?
I will allow a little over so that we can figure out why artists need
It's
to
a
make
dynamic
nipples.
episode, and we're bringing in a.
It's dynamic in that I'm moving the microphone to her mouth when she speaks.
This is going to work out okay.
I'm fine.
Everything's going to be fine.
Are you okay with it?
Everybody's going
Okay.
everything's going to be okay.
That being
I
said,
said eat
I
the mic.
before
Eat the mic,
before
yeah.
we move on to the last main topic, I
Yeah.
do want you to clarify, Annabelle, your statement
Yes.
about that artists are required to draw nipples.
It is just a compulsive thing that artists do. We are trained to
It's
draw
that a general
nipple.
statement? Like you can literally be like, oh, there's a nipple. I got to draw that shit.
Does this
A
come from
boob-
all the life drawing classes you have to do and every? Okay.
Yes, if you draw a boob without a nipple, it just does not make any sense.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Oh,
No,
okay. So
I mean, I guess I
Deeply
agree. And
confusing.
if you're doing a nude, that makes sense to
Doing
me.
a nude.
I mean, if you're drawing, if you're working on a nude
just draw
portrait,
them, I do
what?
them.
If you're doing a nude, I'm just what?
I'm sorry, but no matter how many mistakes I make with verbiage, that's the new title of the episode.
nude.
Doing the nude. You're doing a nude.
nude.
Doing a nude. Doing a nude.
Not
So is it because
If you're drawing a nude, if you neglect to input a nipple into that drawing, then obviously you've done a disservice
Just
to that
one?
model
Oh,
and
yes.
or that picture.
Oh yes.
But there are also many cases when bodysuits
Well-
might be involved, and you have to.
What?
Maybe-
Bodysuit?
Now, I'm not saying from like a
Oh,
nude
oh.
posing, but I'm just
No,
saying
well,
from
I'm-
like a
I'm
design
more like
process.
movies.
Yeah,
Talking
yeah.
about 3D modeling, where they're actually making these models.
I feel
for
like this
these
is like the
games.
Joel Schumacher argument for Batman. Like, the Batman suit needs fucking nipples. Give it a couple of nipples.
Well, they did put nipples in it, right?
They did.
right, and it was a goddamn travesty.
Did you see the one with Christian Bale? Like they actually made like a suit for him with nipples on it, and he wore it. He sported it for a
Okay,
second.
so-
Did he wear it?
Yeah, he wore it for a
shouldn't have
second.
worn it.
Not in the movie, but
should've
it was
worn it.
before. Yeah.
Put
So
some
off
black
topic.
tape on it.
For clarity, the point is that if there's a shower scene and you're going to be seeing a portion of the cleavage from a certain point up, really, like that was it, right? It's like from here up. If you're going to have to make the whole model that supports that type of view, that it's only in your nature to do it in such a way that has nipple. It has
includes the
right.
nipple.
Well,
It's not
because
even-
You need to make it look right.
I don't
Just in
even,
case the camera slips down a little bit.
I don't even
make sure that it's
think-
anatomically correct.
I don't even think that the 3D modeler was thinking of like what camera position or whatever. They're just like, I'm gonna make a nipple. It's gonna be on the boob.
What if they told you they were never going to show it because
Do
they
it anyway.
No, did they ask that? Did the producer of the team say? Thank you. Thank you. You pulled the mic close to my face. I'm sorry. Did the producer of the team at that point say, John or Sarah or whatever, you're making Ellen Page and she's gonna be nude in the shower. You better put some nipples on her.
The way I
Was that a task in TFS?
I know this sounds like some dumb
Was that technical? I'm sorry, is
open
that too
bug
technical?
ticket, but make
It's an
sure.
open bug ticket. Ellen does not have nipples. We cannot ship without nipples on Ellen.
We are not yet aware of our rating in Japan, and we
Right.
Man.
That's
How
that's
old was
appropriate.
this girl anyway in the game?
in the
Over
full game?
18.
I was gonna say old enough.
Old enough. Legally,
Yeah.
yes.
Pretty sure
Jesus
she's
in whatever country you're from,
All right.
old enough.
Let's all take a deep breath for a second. All right, deep. Okay, good.
Rehab. Let's
Main topic number 3 on the Cheat Codes podcast today. We're going to talk about Restart. It's a rehab clinic for technophiles that it's opening up its treatments to teenagers this month. It's been around since about 2009, but there's been a lot of clamor for them to increase their treatments to address teenagers as well. They're based right here in Washington. The clinic helps folks treat their unhealthy devotions to the web, gadgets, and presumably games over a 40-day cycle that costs roughly $25,000. So it's like fat camp for nerds. Psychologist.
Why am I the only one who?
Psychologist Hillary Cash started this back in 2009 after many of her clients were coming to her saying that specifically their internet habits were ruining their own personal lives, and so she took it upon herself to start essentially a rehab clinic for people that don't know how to.
I don't know if you recently read about the Chinese kid that chopped off his own finger
his own
for playing
finger. I
too
did
many
re-
smartphone
I
or
did
too many
read that.
games on
Sorry,
his phone.
what?
Yeah,
The guy
A dude chopped off
he
his
chopped
own
it with a
finger?
kitchen knife because he played his smartphone too much. He's like,
What about the rest
I'm
of his
addicted.
fingers? He could switch to the middle finger and start using that one.
He clearly could have utilized.
He could have used this.
Yeah.
It would have. It
This
would have
would've
helped
been.
him.
Might have
Sure.
put him from
The
9
index
back
finger
to
is
10.
extremely important.
Yeah.
What else are you going to point with?
What else are you gonna play smartphone games with?
Exactly.
Exactly. Like all the other fingers you can point with, but that's
So
okay.
I actually have,
Pinky is if you point at somebody with a pinky versus the index,
You're making a statement.
I'm making a statement right now.
Yeah. Which you know.
That statement is, I'm drinking.
I can hear my own voice in the microphone.
I know.
So I assume that I'm loud
do you
enough.
see how much louder it is when you talk into it though?
You're right, Joe.
No, it's fine.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be. You're fine. You're doing good, buddy. You're doing good. I think I have a much larger argument. It's cool that this kind of place exists, and in fact, there's only one other place that offers some like treatment specific to these type of conditions that have still not been recognized by the DSM, which is kind of like the holy Bible for mental and psychological conditions. They open up internet, game, and like technological addictions to something that still needs more research. But in Pennsylvania, there's a treatment facility that exists, and now here in Seattle, or just outside of Seattle, there is this Miss Cash's, Dr. Cash's kind of 2009 iteration of this. But I've been a little bit outspoken about this in the past, and I'm a little bit.
Are you addicted to video games, Joe?
No, I don't think being addicted to video games is a real thing. Is my problem.
Okay, so here's a little personal experience of preemptively avoiding this kind of thing.
Okay.
I have an addictive personality when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I know for a fact there are certain genres of games that if I played, I would have flunked out of my college. So I made every effort possible personally to avoid them completely, utterly. Never, ever made any attempt to play them whatsoever because I understood my own tendencies when it comes to those kind of things. So if that's true, if you can take this over to alcoholism and anything else, and I think like despite being jocular about this kind of stuff.
I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to treat this seriously.
We can be, but in all seriousness, this is the kind of thing that the only reason why I had any success in my education and any success in my career outside of it was explicitly because I chose to avoid the type of things that would put me in that situation.
But you
in the first
existed
place.
an amount of self-control that managed to temper these urges.
Sure, but
in
if
the sense
I
that
had
while they might be
played it-
addictive, you managed to control your addiction.
But if I had
your
done
potential
it,
one that he didn't even have a chance to manifest.
So what you're arguing is that self-control governs addiction, I guess? Like you're saying,
like if they hadn't manifested
by
in the first
definition,
place,
I think that's an accurate statement.
So give up smoking right now.
Sure.
Like, it's like
Well,
Sure.
okay,
Stop.
so
it's not easy. Like it's not something. Things are addictive, and like you can exhibit some
No, but
self-control over
there's
it.
like a chemical thing that happens that makes certain things addictive. I'm trying to figure out if you're going to
I'm playing video
classify
games.
games or internet or technological things. What is the chemical
that's interesting.
Dopamine, yeah.
Sure,
Dopamine.
dopamine, right? Okay, fair enough.
Sure,
So
dopamine, that's a
maybe
big
we
thing.
answered it then, and maybe I can look at it differently now.
So
but
the way that I look at it is that really anything can be addictive.
Yes.
Right? Anything can be addictive. If you enjoy doing it to the point where you have to do it and it affects your life, right? I mean, anything can be addictive at this point. I kind of feel like there's a bigger picture here, which is people are going to say, is internet addictive? Is playing games really addictive because of this lack of? I mean, dopamine is a chemical that enforces this addiction. But
Sure.
I mean, there's no dopamine in playing a video game, obviously. But there's people who are addicted to video.
you're not
games,
ingesting
right?
dopamine based on the fact that
Yeah.
but I guess that's where my separation lies, is what, like, things that I understand to be traditionally addictive are something that you either ingest or interact with in a way
But
that
really
you do
anything can.
that affects your own body chemistry on a very direct level. So if you're going to turn around, I'm kind of like, you're winning me over here a little bit, like, so let me say that first. But like, I will say to this, like, so when you tell me that technology, internet, gadgets, video games are addictive, that doesn't make sense, because the things that I associate with being addictive are things that you literally either snort, smork,
Okay.
smark,
Okay.
smart,
Smart.
smart,
Smart. You're gonna smoke a couple of
New
grams.
title, Spark.
or eat or ingest in a way that literally like has more of a direct contact with your own body chemistry.
Okay. So go out.
Because that's
Go out
what I
this
associate
weekend.
with addiction. But
Joe,
go ahead.
with your wife, go out this weekend and have a nice date. Watch the other tables. See how many of them are staring at their phones, and tell me they're not addicted. It happens.
terribly
happens.
valid point.
It happens.
Yeah, but that's like the new age, though. That's
It's the new
becoming a
age,
normal.
right?
Right, there's an
Is that-
evolution
is that-
happening as well,
That's
right?
not
So,
necessarily
that's
a bad
true.
thing.
like a
Is it
drug
though?
is now legal in Washington. Like marijuana is legal
Marijuana is
here.
legal,
You know what I mean?
yes.
Like, and people will talk about the fact that there are some addicting qualities to marijuana. But has anybody ever actually encountered a marijuana addict?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody can be addicted.
Are
I
you
think
kidding?
anybody can be addicted to
To
anything.
anything.
To
Yes.
anything.
I think
But-
that's the general and probably correct attitude to have.
Be careful.
I guess I struggle with it
Listeners,
though.
Be careful.
Joe,
I've been addicted to talking to people. Like you talk to them the same, like every day, all the time, and you take that out of my life or something, and it's like, oh, I don't feel
Immediate
like
withdrawals.
myself.
Right,
like
right.
It's,
Well, there's a difference between like
That's
substantive
addictive.
change and
Sure.
and proper addiction, where you cannot
right.
function on a day-to-day basis without having that one thing.
Nicotine, for instance.
Sure.
yeah, I understand.
I have a very close and intimate relationship with that very thing, so I understand what you're talking about.
So, but you're just what's difficult for me is that when you boil it down to the difference between ingestion and non-ingestion, that somehow the opposite is not relevant.
I'm just saying I'm speaking for myself, and and that's how
Well,
I see it.
And,
So
and to
if
me,
I'm
that's
wrong,
a little frustrating
tell me I'm
because
wrong, man.
when you boil it down all the way to a scientific level, like you're looking at if you release a chemical in your body, that's no different than ingesting a chemical. So if there's something that can invoke that
Okay.
release of it,
I'm kinda with
then
you.
it's the same thing in some respects.
Annabelle.
Well, I mean, depression in a way is kind of like being addicted to sadness.
Sure.
I would agree.
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fair.
when you're very aware of being sad, it's
Whether
like,
you
I don't
want it or
wanna
not,
be
right.
sad,
Yeah.
but you
But
just
the viewers
do it.
don't want to be sad. So let's not talk about it.
no, we
I'm saying, like, it's the same thing. Have you ever like found yourself scrolling your phone for no reason? That's probably you should notice that.
right.
Okay.
That's when we use that correlation where
Valid.
like
Yeah.
Facebook is
Valid.
the equivalent of opening the fridge
Exactly.
when you already know you have nothing to eat.
Exactly.
I like to go in other
You just
people's
keep
houses
going
and
back
open the
hoping
fridge.
something's going to magically show up. And
Yeah.
Right.
Like, There wasn't anything in here before I wanted to eat, but like
I'm still looking. I've looked for the fourth time and nothing's magically appeared.
This is why we have DoorDash.
I love
Let's plug DoorDash. If you're not using DoorDash right now, fucking
This episode
use
is
it.
brought to you by DoorDash. Not really.
I think all we're doing.
Okay, so I'm not trying to be closed-minded. I am trying to be open-minded with what you guys are saying.
I
but
agree with you.
Sure.
We're just
But
classifying different types of addiction. I think is all that's really.
I guess maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned, and when I hear about addiction, I think obviously of like substance abuse, not necessarily like a mental deficiency or problem or limitation. I'm certainly not trying to like belittle anybody that may be suffering from any one of these things. But when I hear about a game, like a facility that's based on technology addiction, like we all use technology every day. Does that just make us addicts that we don't know about? Are we all supposed to be enrolled here and paying $25,000 for 40-day treatment?
Stop using technology for a day.
Okay.
Stop using it for a week.
A week?
Right? Stop using it for an amount of time, and then see if it's an addiction or not.
Yeah, but like...
Well, there's a difference between necessity. Like, breathing air is not an addiction. It's a necessity. You know
Or
what
you're
I mean?
addicted to breathing air.
I'm not saying that technology exists on the
can't-
same level. I'm just saying, but there are certain things that are necessities, but that are not addictions. You know what I mean?
Most people nowadays can't do a week without technology because now we use it in freaking everything. Like jobs, you work at Microsoft. There's no way you could do that. You would be wasting so much like time just not being
This is one of the biggest takeaways I took from actually one of my sociology courses back in school. No, seriously. Like no, it was definitely not
Rufo. Ken Rufo. Shout out to Ken Rufo.
You can't
Thank
go
you.
through walls.
Please get up and walk through a wall.
So no, that's not going to happen. So
Is that insulting?
You didn't want it hard enough.
but there was a certain instructor we had that had an ability to really pull to make you question everything you thought you knew, and I thought that was really important. And this was one of those situations where he was capable of doing that, where he could always convince you that the opposite of the thing you always believed to be true would actually be true.
Sure.
Did he not?
I was in that class, and I agree. I think he just made me question more about the way we like kind of interact with society. Based on social media and technology.
Okay, so to be clear, what he was getting at in this scenario is that anything that we use on a daily basis, any piece of technology that becomes something that we always use constantly, if you ignore the concept of addiction and you just look at it as this thing, it actually becomes a physical extension of yourself.
Yes, sure.
And when that occurs, a physical extension of yourself, the same kind of phantom pain that somebody, and I'm not degrading what phantom pain actually is, but just to make you start thinking, the phantom pain that somebody might get when they lose a limb is equivalent to what might happen to you if you lose your smartphone. And yes, on a much different scale, but in a way that can say that once you have established mentally that something that you do, a piece of technology, is a physical part of you, then when you lose it, it feels like you lost a part of yourself. Is that addiction, or is that just the way that we have been?
I guess that's that fine line between addiction and necessity, right?
It's evolution.
In some respects.
Evolution,
Or-
sure.
Do sex machina.
Do sex machina.
Do sex. Do sex.
Do sex machina.
Are there two X's?
No, it's not Deus Ex. It's do sex. Machina.
Sex with
joke.
machines.
This is a joke.
Yeah, that's
Good.
what I heard.
All right. Let's take a quick break before we move on to the lightning round. We're gonna update you on our contest stuff,
Do sex machina.
Let's take a break,
And we'll-
'cause I gotta piss after
and we'll
so much beer.
we'll be back in a second. Last week, we kept our giveaways program rolling by offering up an Undertale Steam key. We're happy to announce this week's winner is Manuel L. Congratulations! We hope you enjoy it. We'll be sending out that key soon, so keep your eyes on your email inbox. Thanks to everyone who played. Make sure to keep coming back. You're eligible each week. This week, we're offering up one Hacknet Steam key from the folks at Fractal Alligator. This critically acclaimed game has been tagged as the closest thing you can do to actual hacking. And it's legal, so that's important. Be sure to check out cheatcodespodcast.com to see all the ways you can enter to win. Good luck, and hack the planet. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being patient with our dumb commercials. All right, panel, it's time for the lightning round. Here's how it works. We're going to take two quick topics and give each member of the panel a minute to chime in, uninterrupted, for the most part. And at the end of each minute, we will award a panelist a quantity of some type of points based on nothing in particular. All right. Number 1. If you guys haven't seen it yet, jump on YouTube or Polygon, which is where we pulled this story from, and check out the IO Interactive Realm Pictures offering that showcases actual streamers controlling a real-life Agent 47. Based on the Hitman video game series, it's fucking rad as hell.
It's so fucking rad.
But that being said, how do we get more games to do this? Should this be an offering in amusement parks or a more private affair like locked room games? Who needs virtual reality when you have actual reality, right, guys? We're gonna dole out 60 seconds per person here. I will sit out this time. We're gonna do 4 minutes.
Oh, we want to hear what you have to say.
I know, and you'll have to wonder for the rest of your life.
I'll never
Next
know.
time.
Why?
And I'm gonna give the first 60 seconds about the Hitman real life, and you can literally say whatever the hell you want. But there are certain aspects of this that I think should be addressed in the sense that, do we make more games like this? Should this be a private thing? I don't know.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Mr. Arroyo, do you have something to add?
No.
Okay,
You were pointing at me.
You got 1 minute left.
And
No.
60
Do you want-
seconds gone.
Am I getting the minute? Is that what's happening?
And
Oh, sure. You can take the first minute.
I'm so confused right now. Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. First of all, this is fucking amazing. I need to watch it first before you have any reactions because I feel like you can't describe this to somebody until they actually see it.
Yeah.
And experiencing it is the thing. Like the moment you see it, you are immediately you feel like you should have been one of the people in that line. Like you needed to be one of the people who experienced this. And I feel like if maybe not theme parks because it's probably too difficult to reset this type of thing
On a large scale.
Yeah, but in terms of like the escape room concept that's really popular right now, where people actually deal out a decent amount of money to get set up for these kind of things just to show that they're smart enough to find a key and something and look at a map appropriately based on some hints they get from a walkie-talkie. I think this actually would be much more engaging, and I'd pay the same amount of money, if not more, to go through an experience like this that I know is going to be about 30 to 45 minutes, especially if you can like respawn if you fuck it up or something to that effect. And yeah, I really do think that would be amazing, and I hope that a company does it on a regular instead of just this crazy, every once in a while thing that's on YouTube.
thanks, Joe.
I'm going to award you 47 Hitmen.
47.
I get it.
So now, based on
get
that,
it.
it's going to be less or more based on for the rest. Of
It could be something altogether different.
It could be 53.
Sure.
Why not?
Mr. Golesh.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, you have a minute to tell me about your feelings about
This whole Hitman thing?
real life Hitman and whether or not it has a place in gaming in general.
I guess I really enjoyed it. I think I liked the last one a little bit better because it was a little more it was a little more spontaneous in a way. Like I think that one took place on like chat roulette or something where people were like surprised by the fact that they were like controlling a character. They go on the chat roulette and they expect to see a penis, and they see this guy. He's standing around, he's like, give me some commands or something, and they tell him to go do something, and that was really cool because they were engaging people that didn't even understand what was going on. This new one was more like let's corral some people into a room, and you're now like you're ahead of the mission operative or something. I don't know what it is, and that's really cool too because that adds in like another kind of like involvement in it, and that maybe is more appropriate for the Hitman franchise. But I kind of enjoyed the fact that it was more of just a spontaneous thing with the last like one that I saw, which was the first person.
Last one.
These guys did a first person zombie one where they were trying to.
But it was in chat roulette.
It was in chat roulette where they.
Someone had no idea that they were going to start doing
Yeah.
I'm going to award you one copy of The Last of One, which is a sequel to The Last of Us, and also.
How many chat roulette penises? Because that's what I thought was coming.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to award you 32
chat
roulette
penises.
penises.
That's a power too.
That's like the highest one before 00 on a roulette wheel. I'm just saying. Or is it 36? It's 32, right?
I don't
know.
It's black and red, and there's a green one. There's 2 green ones.
Are we talking about chat roulette penises or roulette board?
We're talking about a roulette board. I just want to equate penises to it. That's all. It's no big deal. Annabelle, you have a minute to talk about the Hitman live action
awesome
experience.
Okay, Jesus. Okay. All All right. So first of all, if you saw like the behind the scenes video of this, there was a fuck ton of work that was put into this little project, and I just have to applaud them for like doing that in the first place. I definitely think that this should be more of a like group centered like activity where it's like private hosting, like the escape the room type of idea, not necessarily with theme parks. I think that would just be kind of insane. But I definitely think that it would be more fun to have it as groups coming in, pitching in all their money to do this giant game that would be hilariously interactive and just crazy, insane cool. Because, like, I don't know. I really, like, while watching it, I was just, like, wanting to be there and play it for the whole thing. Also, that they got the original like voice actor for the Hitman, and he was like talking to you the entire time, was like so crazy awesome, and that's just amazing.
So cool.
I will award you a crazy amount of awesomes.
What is the currency exchange for a crazy amount of awesomes?
I think well said. I think you encapsulated a perfect amount of fandom, because I think you basically just put on paper whatever all of us were thinking about this entire thing. So
but just be aware, if you go to Europe, you only get like a fair amount of awesomes.
right. In America, it's crazy amount.
Crazy amount.
Yeah.
Hashtag make America crazy again. All right. Last pundit for this particular topic, Mr. James Farris. You got a minute. Go ahead.
That's me. All right, here we go. Man, I just watched it for the first time. I gotta be honest with you. It blew my fucking mind. It was so fucking cool. I just said the whole time I was sitting there, I was just like, why am I not one of those guys sitting in the room? Like, I want to be there. And so the whole theme park thing kind of actually is kind of an interesting thing for that, because there's actually a theme park that I can't remember which one, but there's a theme park that actually has a VR roller coaster that you can ride that roller coaster with VR going on. I don't know what shit goes going on in the actual headset, but it looks, I'm sure it would be fucking awesome. So I mean, when it's different though, because with a fixed track system, like or an actual roller coaster itself, you kind of have a kind of these set things, but with the actual Hitman video, it was you can kind of approach it from any way, and that was the coolest part, was that they kind of thought of everything. The guy picks up a hammer, the guy puts on the construction worker's clothes and whatnot, and the gun. Yeah, sure, the gun. Right, exactly. So I mean, it for me, that was the really cool thing, was that they kind of made room for all of these possibilities that could happen, and so going forward, I mean, I could definitely see this in a theme park. Absolutely. Is that 1,000 points? Is that 10,000 points?
I'm going to award
Should I restart? Should I do it again?
I'm going to award you one Disneyland.
One Disneyland and Universal Studios?
And
an Epcot Center.
And an Epcot Center.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Which you won't have enough time in your weekend to visit.
Right. You can buy the bundle pass, but it's never going to work out. All right. Topic 2. You can officially start collecting game engines like amiibos, everybody. Only amiibos will cost you money.
And you can't stick them up your butt.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Crytek.
It really depends. It really depends.
Let's all take a second, shall we? Yeah, that's good. Crytek has shown up arguably a bit late to the free engine party, joining the ranks of Unreal, Unity, and Lumberyard, which is actually based on a modified version of Crytek, and a slew of others. What has often been considered a graphical leader is now available in a pay-what-you-want sort of way. It's like a Radiohead of game engines or something. Why does this feel like too little too late? Is it? I mean, the more tools, the better, right? But this feels weird, and I need your help to feel better about it, everybody. Okay? I didn't get a minute on the last one, so I'm going to take the first minute. Yeah, I'm going to take the first minute. All right.
Think about what you're going to award him.
You have to pay attention because you have to award me points. All right?
Award you points? Okay.
All right. I think it's awesome, first of all, that the game industry has kind of figured out the fact that the best way to encourage ourselves and the best way to fucking pump out a more crowded market, but a more diverse market, is to give away these tools for free. And the fact that Crytek's getting on board, whether or not it be from the help from Amazon or not, is fine. Lumberyard is whatever, and Crytek is whatever. And if you're going to do what you do, you're probably doing it with Unity or Unreal at this point. But if you want, look, Crytek stood at the top of graphical quality for a very, very, very long time. Through all the Crysis series and everything else. And if you want to look back and say there's an Eastern European fucking version of that's doing better than what we all thought it was, it's probably that. But let's say this. If you have 6 guns on your fucking holster as a cowboy, this is one of the guns that you should have. And it should be fucking loaded.
That's a lot of guns.
That's a lot of
That's 5 more than you need.
6-shooter. That's
Where do you put the 4th gun? Like,
what are you gonna order? How many guns?
Sorry,
6 holsters?
I was literally trying to give you like a currency or some sort of quantifiable value.
Each gun has 1 shot? Is that what it is?
It can be whatever you want.
are they made in America?
Maybe.
The guns?
It's a Remington, sure.
It's a Remington. It's made in America. So I thought really hard about this.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you about 12 and a half schmeckles.
Schmeckles. I love schmeckles.
Is that important to you?
I understand what schmeckles are.
You understand.
I do.
That's good.
And I appreciate your contribution to my schmeckle fund. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for your minute of input.
All right. I'm gonna jump right to the middle of the pack, and Annabelle gets the next minute.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm gonna move.
You're on the spot.
Okay.
Talk
All
about.
right.
Give me a minute about why Crytek being free is cool, but also weird.
Free programs are always fucking great. I mean, but as an artist, I'm kind of like, I wish this would apply to more things like Substance Painter and ZBrush and Maya. I mean, I get a free version of Maya because I'm a student, but that's going to expire as soon as I graduate. So what the fuck does that matter?
Don't graduate.
Yeah, don't graduate.
I have to be forced to make illegal
personally,
actions.
Never graduate.
Illegal actions.
I do not appreciate it. I don't like to be pressured into being, just evil. It's not great. And I applaud all these companies making all these dev programs like available to everybody to just use and make great, awesome fucking games. But I think that it needs to be spread to artists because artists never get the limelight of anything. And God damn it, I just want freaking Substance Painter and I want all these things to be able to experiment with. That's all I'm going to say. And rant over.
I will award you one
Copy
free license to CS6
Really?
Adobe
I already got it.
Master Suite.
I already got it.
We got it
free as a student.
We got it off of BitTorrent though.
I don't actually have it to give you, but I'll award it anyway.
I'll tell you what. Yeah,
But I think you made a very good point. I think when it comes to all aspects of game development, like engines are great, but you need to have some 3D modeling and art software that
Those
comes
engines
along
can't
with that.
be great unless they have great tools for artists to
You're
use
not
too.
wrong.
And I would like to throw in a copy of Illustrator that's pirated, where you can't hit the save button.
Hey,
But feel free to use it all day.
I'm assuming that you know nothing about that.
Fully featured. No
Yeah.
With a giant penis watermark over everything.
That's great.
Dicks are good
You
for
have to
everybody,
screen
right?
cap all your images in order to get that.
That's fine. I don't even know to go. There's only one more minute left here, and I have to choose between Nick and Joe.
We got 2 more.
What do you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Well,
bro.
James definitely has to go, so
Hey,
James,
bro.
you get the next minute.
I'd like to talk about Crytek a little bit.
Please do.
Can I have the next minute?
Yeah.
You have
Do
the
I
next
have
minute.
your permission?
Your minute is about to start.
And go. All right, there we go. Man, Crytek is fucking impressive, and they whittled their 2 fucking graphics devs down to nothing to get that engine out. But graphically, I mean, you look at Crytek or CryEngine 2. You look at Crysis 2, right? Mm-hmm. You're talking about like 5 years ago or something. It's still extremely impressive. Every time they come out with an engine, it is just fucking mind-blowingly beautiful.
Graphically.
Yeah, graphically beautiful. I'm going to be specific on that. But let me tell you, I have not played around with it yet. But I'm excited to, because holy shit, what can you do with the Crytek engine? I mean, clearly Crysis...
Amazon bet a lot of money on it.
Yeah, exactly. Lumberyard. Right. So, I mean, Crysis and Crysis 2 were kind of like... But the engine itself is fucking beautiful. Oh my god. Get some more gameplay devs on there, but holy shit. Beautiful. I'm excited. I cannot wait. I'm going to add that to my free engine portfolio. I got a whole shitload. I got Unity, I got Unreal. Let me add Crysis to that list. I'm going to add Lumberyard, whatever. Fine. It's beautiful. I'm so fucking excited to use it. I cannot wait.
You've gone well over your minute, but I'm
going to keep talking.
I'll allow it.
It's been an extra minute. I'm going to keep going. Crytek. Holy shit. Can I meet you? Come on the program. Both of the devs come on the program.
Both of them, not just one, but both.
We don't want one. We want two.
I like it. Why get one when you can get all of them?
You can get both of them. Exactly.
I don't know what they're doing now.
Yeah, you can.
All right, I award you both the Crytek graphics devs tied up in your basement.
Gagged and blindfolded.
We don't have
There's
a
so
basement.
much to learn.
There was a certain obsession I felt there.
There's so much to learn.
Might escalate.
Sorry, by profiling yourselves without a basement, you're now that much higher on a singular list for the fucking FBI like missing persons
We
list.
have a
That's fine.
gazebo.
We have a gazebo.
Right.
We don't have a basement.
Now you've even horned it down even further. You're not doing yourself any favors at this point, Mr. Golesh. I want you to take the last minute of the lightning round for the day and send us off appropriately. Talk to me about Crytek and
I'm going to talk to you about
not Crytek.
commercial engines, I think.
Okay.
Fair enough. I think this is completely unrelated, of course, but in the past few days or at least months, I've been experimenting with other engines, and I found that I'm not as worried about my job as I thought I was going to be. Because these engines have certain quirks about them that make me relevant, because I have to fix those kind of things.
Fantastic. Oh my god. Keep going. Keep going.
Like,
You got 30 seconds left.
Like, they offer so much. They're so beautiful. They offer great qualities in graphics and shaders and materials and all these kind of things. But, you know, when you get down to it, it's made by people sometimes that, I don't know, they're antiquated in some of the ways they make technologies, I guess.
Okay.
And it's frustrating for me to work with it sometimes. Like, my time's up.
No, I really want you to finish.
So, I'm going to give you an auxiliary like 10 seconds to wrap your thoughts up here.
I didn't even want to talk in the first place.
You have a job.
The point is, I'm not worried about not having a job anymore.
Okay.
Because of these engines.
Unreal makes it hard enough that you actually are needed and you're necessary as part of the team.
I'm not saying what makes me necessary or not, but it's not.
That makes me less valuable.
It's not just Unreal. Like, there are plenty of things out there, and you know, these engines are great. They allow you to accomplish like wonderful things, but. And in the past, I've been very much adamant about, like, I feel like I'm running out of a job because these engines are doing so much. But then I look at them and they're like, no, they need me still. I'm still important.
They just threw more people at it than I realized they needed.
I'm gonna award you 5 IVs of game development expertise, so that if you plug them in, you can feel better about yourself. Other people, if you plug them into other people, they can feel good about their game development experience.
Or myself, too.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that special Golesh mix.
You're welcome.
It's a mix between like saline,
mix.
cocaine, and, you know, Schmeckles.
There we go.
I was hoping
It's liquefied Schmeckles.
Yeah.
All right. I want to thank both of our guests. It turned out to be. It started as one,
Yeah.
and it turned out to be 2.
It's a pair. It's a team, really.
Mr. James Farris
Yeah, that's me.
and Annabelle. I'm sorry, but I don't know your last name.
Bowie.
Bowie.
Bowie. Like, is it like
Annabelle Bowie.
Like
Annabelle
Bowie
Bowie?
night.
Like, is it like
It's Bowie,
Bowie? Is
not
it spelled
Bowie.
like Bowie?
Okay, everybody who
It's
listens,
spelled like Bowie, though.
not Bowie. Bowie. You pronounce it
Bowie.
Bowie.
Oh,
Thank
so
you.
you mean like the knife, like a Bowie knife?
Like the knife.
Like the
Nice.
nice.
Like Baba Booey.
As if she's
James
related
Bowie.
to the
James Bowie from Nevada. The night.
Bowie night.
That's cool.
James Bowie.
Oh, true. Something. Yo, my B.
We're learning things, you know. This is a program.
Yo, it's my Bowie, bro. My Bowie.
what I like.
Sorry.
Yes.
All right. 89 episode. 89th
It was a
episode.
beautiful episode. I'm so happy to be a part of it. Oh my!
People ask me about it all the time, and I tell them, hey, episode 89. It's a great one.
It's my favorite episode.
It's my favorite episode.
Out
Better
of
than
all
69.
It's 1 out of 89. It's the best out of all of them.
And they're not wrong when they ask me
At
about
episode 70, someone came up to me and they're like, which episode should I listen to? And I was like, episode
It's 89.
89.
And I hadn't even recorded it yet. It's fine. It's...
Can I get rid of the beer? I mean,
Of course you can. It's in the books. We're done. It's a wrap. Thank you for being here, dear listener, and know that we're always curious to hear what you think. So once again, happy St. Patty's to everybody out there. By the time you're listening to this, it's probably over. And we hope that you're using us as a hangover cure and that we're not too loud. I'm sure you're dealing with a headache. And maybe don't.
Microsoft.
You asked for that.
I'm sorry.
I did.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to be nice to the listener, but you guys are dicks, clearly. So that's fine.
At the end of the episode, you were trying to be nice to the listener.
Yeah.
Like they stood on long enough because they were so upset, and you decided to be nice to them then.
That's
when
right.
we're finished.
After an hour and 13 minutes.
If they've put up with our bullshit for this long, the
Yeah.
least I can do is be a little bit nice. So, all right. If you listen to this, it means you survived, and we appreciate it. Hit us up, cheatcodespodcast.com, on Facebook, on Twitter. Get in on the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned for a new episode coming next week. And make sure to check out the giveaways portion of the site. Go get your hands on some free stuff. What are we giving away this week?
It's
Hacknet.
Hacknet.
Yeah.
There's a Steam key for Hacknet coming out this
Can
week.
I win that as a guest? Is it possible?
I think you might have ruled yourself out, actually, but
You can enter, but if you win, I'll just invalidate.
I'm just going to validate you. So make sure you check out the giveaways portion. Remember, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss cheat codes. See you next time, everybody.